And welcome back, guys, to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. In the last part, we had to sit down with Akira, and pretty much my thoughts about how this scenario was going to go has come, unfortunately, true. And we are having that date that Hisao promised Lily, but I have a feeling it's gonna take a really sharp turn. Hopefully, she doesn't lose it on us. Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her mood is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm.
Hello, Yuko.
Hey.
Good afternoon, you two.
She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback, as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us.
What happened to you? You both look...
Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us.
Oh dear.
We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing.
It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh, wait, sorry. Is there anything you'd like?
French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same.
Right. Coming right up.
How about a towel? A towel would be nice. Though they may not have towels. I've worked in the waiting industry quite a lot, and we have quite a lot of towels, and we've had quite a few people come up and ask for them when it's been like pouring rain outside. So I never take offense to it, but it's not the most courteous thing to ask for. But you know, in small restaurants especially, like, there was this diner that I didn't work at, but a friend did, and they had like the best customer service that I could ever imagine. It's just this privately owned shop, and they had everything. I'm sure that they had towels, like hot towels, ready to give people for when they came in from the rain. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she's at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down in my seat and Lily's delicately sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watch the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily at least, I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together and since I entered Yamaku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second guessing her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. Why haven't you asked her yet? Are you serious? Has it been weeks since we talked to Akira? Are ya an idiot? What the shit, dude? I mean, I guess it is hard to brush the subject because obviously you didn't learn it from her. You know, you learned it from her sister. But, I don't know. It seems a little odd to me. It makes me doubt whether I'd ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I very much want to avoid doing so.
You seem quiet today, Hisao.
Really?
You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date, I'd assumed you had something specific you wanted to do.
No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you.
Is that so?
Fine. There was one thing. A little grin finds its way onto Lily's face, her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It was just... Akira and I were talking.
Oh?
What's with that tone?
You two do seem to get on well, don't you?
Well, I do think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like her.
cool.
For a moment, I tried to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you?
I'm not jealous.
After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As we settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I want to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said,
Akira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she?
Seconds tick by while I try to read Lily's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat confused.
Here.
Yuko tentatively slides our drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. As she walks back to the counter after a quick, polite nod, I realize the air between me and Lily is thick, and our expressions are both somewhat pensive.
Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times.
I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you, and it's not like I can't understand her concern over this. Lily's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal well with being cornered on personal topics.
I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd figure it out eventually, but...
You were intentionally hiding this from me? For how long were you planning to do so?
As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you.
What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut.
My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there.
So, you're going. How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland, about a month ago.
Some time.
My frustration very nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. For her not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me, and after seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily.
I'm sorry, I want to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you, please.
I know, Lily, I know. This is just really sudden. I guess this means that once you go, we'll be breaking up? For one of the few times I've seen since I met her, she's generally lost for words. She doesn't look surprised. No doubt because the fact has dawned on her once she became sure of her decision, but rather she appears generally unsure of how to deal with the situation now that it's in front of her.
We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days, after all.
Even as she says it, the tone in her voice gives way, and she doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Lily is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence. And even I am, to an extent. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempt to try and connect what's happened with the future or past just seems to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walking side by side, the precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira, the casual chatter we had during lunchtimes, the times we made love, the confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless, all just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long, long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it.
I'm sorry, Hisao.
A simple apology, and no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going?
I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be a little less than a week.
The beginning of summer holidays?
Just a little afterwards, yes.
Her tone is unusually slow and steady, her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written on her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanaba with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflecting in the by now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stare down into the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cooled tea without complaint, her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be deep in thought, too, a strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of the Shanghai leaving. The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory's hallway. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Sure enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji.
Hey man, what's... Whoa, dude, you look awful, I think. You okay?
He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to go into it. It's late.
Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm, here.
I look at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratch the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji.
Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right?
Yeah, you're right. See ya. I open the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud the door makes against the door frame sounds out a final call for the life I had led since coming to Yamago. I just stand in the darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onward. Just what should I do? Well, man, you gotta fight. You gotta fight the good fight. Now, you never... Yeah, gosh, it is so tough. It's like one of those things where you want to fight for it, but there comes a time when you can't anymore. Now, I don't think that he should give up just yet. Because she hid all this, she never wanted to tell him. Means that she wanted more time. She wanted to pretend as if this inevitability wasn't going to happen. I don't put into question whether she loves him or not. That isn't the question. But it's like he needs to make it known to her that she can lead her own life. That, she can be happy here too. And I think that's what Akira was trying to mention with context. It's like you need to know the circumstances, and these are the circumstances of where we're at right now. So, as she was saying, she has a fondness for her parents, the parents that left her behind, that discarded her, in a sense, because it was too difficult to take care of the blind child. You know, like, you can tell that Akira is like, she wants her to lead her own life and not be, you know, burdened by these people that didn't want her to begin with, in a sense. As class ends, I simply rest my head on my hand and stare out of the window to pass the time. It's been a few days since Lily told me her plans. I haven't been to our ordinary lunchtime haunt since then. Not that there would be much point. Hanako's been busy with the newspaper club she's newly joined, and has even begun talking to class with Naomi every now and then. Even Lily, aside from the fact that a meeting between us would have been awkward in any case, has been run off her feet with class representative duties at the summer holidays approach. And now they're just about here. With the end of today's bell, the summer holidays will have begun. I suppose that's all I'll end up doing. I'll be visiting my parents for the duration and lazing about my old home, now that my previous plans are entirely askew. Meanwhile, Akira and Lily will be en route to Scotland to live out the rest of their lives there. No matter how hard I try to rationalize the idea that once the summer holiday begins, my life will return to the way it was, it simply refuses to happen. Everyone's moving on with their lives. Lily's rejoining her family, Akira's moving up in her father's business, Hanako's gained new friends and hobbies, and even Yuko's moving ahead with her university aspirations. Even I'm moving forward in the end. With the grades I've gotten so far in Yamaku, much less after such a rocky beginning, the path to getting into teaching science as a career seems straightforward. I suppose I should at least be happy about that much, but it doesn't really seem to help. Hee-chan! I quickly stopped my ruminating and turned to face the bubbly voice beside me, putting on the most upbeat expression I could muster. As expected, Shizune stands flanking her. I have a sneaking suspicion they want something from me. Hey, Misha. Shizune, what's up?
Well, Shi-chan and I were thinking, since we're just two poor little girls that need help with all the work we've been given just before the holidays begin.
Sure, I can help.
But Yi-chan, we're really... What?
You know it's bad when the person not only anticipated you saying no, but is taken aback by the fact that you said yes so abruptly. To a point where she's probably really concerned. I think I broke Misha. Yeah, exactly. Even Shizune raises an eyebrow at her accomplice's stuttering stops in her tracks.
So you'll help us, Yi-chan?
I said I would, didn't I? It's hardly like I have anything better to do. Maybe helping them with their work will help take my mind off the situation. Misha seems genuinely ecstatic with my response, but Shizune's expression is clouded and difficult to read. I find myself quickly averting my eyes from her own, as it almost looks like a face of pity. No doubt, I must just be in my imagination. Oh, Shizune's really goddamn smart, you know? She probably already knows what's happening, because, you know, they're cousins still. And obviously Hideaki is her brother, and Hideaki hangs out with Akira a lot, so you think that she doesn't fucking know? She does. This is hardly the first time I've been in the student council room. Indeed, I've found myself down here often, either to help Lily with class prep work or to sort out one thing or another with the student council itself. Now, though, it's quite a different place. Papers and folders are strewed across every table in the room. Only a solitary little black laptop atop a single desk sticks out from this mess. It looks positively ancient, and I guess it has been valiantly serving its task and archiving information for years and years. So, what needs doing? This looks like a lot to do. Shizune's expression becomes determined as she signs. It's a worried look.
Everything, Yi-chan.
Yep. This is what happens when you side with student council. My worry was well placed. Everything, you say?
What's left on the desk is what needs to be done. It all needs to be digitally recorded, which is what the laptop is for.
And I'm guessing that I'll be the one doing this.
Shi-chan says she saw you with the computers in the libraries a few days ago, and that you seemed really good with them.
Good with computers. I can touch type, I guess, but it still seems like an overestimation of my skill. I was just typing up homework. Wait, Shizune was watching me do that?
One must know their abilities before they can know their enemies, of course.
Or allies' abilities.
Allies. Wow, that's pretty wise.
Stalking. You know, for once, it's not very hard to work out who said what. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem worth fighting over. Sitting at a computer doing some typing hardly seems onerous as far as tasks to help Shizune and Misha go.
Besides, it will help to take your mind off things.
Take my mind off things? Take my mind off of what things? Misha's face goes blank as she translates this for Shizune, though the latter's response is only to glance away towards the window after briefly signing. Misha's face quickly returns to a smile as she translates back. She was confused, I guess, but Shizune is harder to pin down.
I was just thinking you may like to get your mind off the exams, of course.
Either way, we may as well get into it sooner rather than later. I'll go along with you.
That's the spirit, He-chan.
And that's the 5th spreadsheet compiled and saved. Time for next month's. But I think we've run out of time, and we're gonna see what happens. I think we're getting pretty close to the end here, guys. So take care and stay frosty.